Lance out of the shotgun to throw. He has time, now steps up, he's under pressure, Kalu sacks him again. 2 straight sacks by Kalu.
I was a 5th round pick coming out of Rice. It's not like I was a 1st round pick, but you know what, when you got there, it was like, whoa, this is what I've been asking for, praying for, preparing for. And it's kind of like now the work really begins.
What's ND stand for?
Ndukwe. She said ND will do just fine.
Okay.
What's Ndukwe mean?
Long life, prosperity will come. So if I live long enough, hopefully I'll prosper.
They say 78% of NFL players are bankrupt and divorced 3 years after they retire. And that sounds accurate just from the guys that I know. So many of them struggle because it's such a immediate change of lifestyle, change of, if you're not preparing yourself while you're in it, while you're playing. And it's hard. I mean, the whole time you're thinking, I'm gonna play 15, 20 years, then I'm gonna just retire and play golf. And 90% of the time, that's not how it ends, and that's not how it goes.
Happy Tuesday to you, Houston, Texas. You're in the greatest city, the greatest state, and the greatest country in the nation. And guess what? You may also have the greatest NFL football team residing right here in Houston, Texas. Welcome to In the Trenches. You are smack dab right in the middle of it. I am Greg Cook. He is Indy Kalu, and we want to welcome you to our show.
The guy up top. See, that's a great point, but I don't think anybody, even the strongest personality, whether you're talking Bill Cowher, John Gruden, any coach, I don't think any coach can manage Jerry Jones because he is the owner. Ultimately, he can fire or hire. And we saw it happen in the past when Jimmy Johnson was getting all the pub, getting all the credit. He didn't like that. There was no reason Jimmy Johnson should have been fired.
Every person I've been around in the NFL, a lot of them have a bunch of characteristics that make them great, but everyone just has at least one thing that it's like, man, no wonder he's in the NFL. Either he's just mean as a dog, or he's strong as an ox, or he's fast even though he's 350 pounds. Like, everybody has that one intangible that you're like, oh, that's why he's in the NFL. We manage about 67 single-family properties that are very similar to this house in similar areas, low to middle income areas. So I'll pick one house depending on location, proximity to the freeways, where while we're working on it, we'll turn it into our office space. It just allows us to be at a property while we're showing it, be one with the community. We've picked up so many clients just for having that sign on this street, and I just like it. It saves money on rent, not leasing out a building like I used to. And we'll just go from property to property, but the majority of our properties obviously are vacant while we're working on them, but we'll always pick one that I like and turn it into an office, then we just move to the next one. You have to be a lot more patient in the business world. Because when I think business world, I think real world. Just to generate X amount of dollars from nothing takes patience. There are so many details that you have to take care of that you don't think about before you set out on a certain project or set out on a certain entity that you're trying to create. So, but the NFL's tougher. I mean, you're talking about going against the elite, the elite of the elite every single week. Physically, it's tougher, but that's a good question. It's kind of like comparing apples to oranges. You can't really compare the two, but I just remember thinking like, man, it's tough just to make 10 G's. In the NFL, you're just used to a check every Tuesday. I'm old softy when it comes to my kids, but at the same time, when I see them just getting out of line, they know when they need to be put back in line, and I try to make sure, my biggest thing is just trying to make sure they understand what they have, what we've been blessed with, because sometimes I think that they don't get it. So you need to appreciate everything we have, and it wasn't just handed. So I'm always trying to turn everything into a lesson. The highest point, there's so many. I mean, just at the end of training camp, hearing that you made the team again, things like that. Those are like, I'll never forget that feeling, those days. Then, your first game on Monday Night Football, sacking guys that you grew up watching, like Brett Favre, Troy Aikman. I remember one time we were playing against the Dallas Cowboys, and being from San Antonio, I follow the Cowboys and the Houston Oilers, but I was a huge Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin fan growing up, watched them in high school. Then I'm on the field playing them, and I remember I hit Emmitt Smith, and I was talking trash to him, and he was all, "You suck, Kalu." And I had this big old smile, and I was like, he knows my name. Like, Emmitt Smith knows my name. So, those are little things that you appreciate. I keep going back to when you asked me about why Rice or if I would do it again. The answer is yes, because it's still paying dividends just with the type of people that I've met and what they're doing with themselves.
Yeah.
Mr. Call,
How you doing,
earlier.
man?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Hey,
Excited about this?
yeah. You coach soccer?
I'm the team dad.
I would pay to see that.
Team dad.
Let me let you stand. Let's stand there. Take
All
care.
right, we'll enjoy the game.
He is intimidating. He comes in. He's a very large man.
Instead of east-west, and the defense, they really set the edge. They did not let him get around the corner, and when you talk about pursuit, that's what you need from your defensive tackles. They pursued him, and they never gave him a chance to get upfield. Made their yards and got into field goal range. They give up a sack, and they get out of field goal range, so they weren't able to capitalize off their positive yards.
Into the event I would want to, I think the Kalu group would have to grow, so I could use the influence of the Kalu group and my for-profit for it. But even with just stuffing bags and giving out $8,000 worth of school supplies, that takes us about a week and a half of preparation. Buying the supplies, stuffing them, making sure each bag has what it needs, promoting it, going on air, letting the community know we're going to be out there. And you'll be surprised, a lot of them are like, what are you trying to sell? We're not selling anything. Like, we'll go to the churches and say, just tell your people to be out here. What are you promoting? Nothing. We're giving you school supply, you know what I'm saying? So just all those little details take so much time, but I do think if the company grows, then that's going to grow. I contacted the Texans. I told them what I was doing. They just cut me off before I finished. Like, what do you need? And they had volunteers out there, and they gave me a bunch of supplies. So it's pretty cool just to see how much people are willing to help when it's a good cause. When I was in Nigeria, we were robbed at gunpoint by like 7 guys, machine guns. We were in the middle of nowhere. It's myself, my father, one of my cousins. They picked me up from the airport. It was like a 3-hour drive from the airport to where we needed to go. And when I saw the guns and they pulled us out of the cars and they were going through our stuff, and I thought we were gonna die, but I wasn't afraid at all. And I just prayed, like, if this is it, Lord, I hope I've done everything right. Please forgive me my sins, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't say blah, 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 but I went through the prayer, and there was like this calmness over me. And not to sound tough or anything, because trust me, when it first happened, the initial thought, and that's when I knew, like, okay, he really is covering me. And we ended up okay. They, they just robbed us, took our stuff, took our money, and I was able to find the good in all that. For whatever reason, before they robbed us, we're driving in the car, and something just told me, put your passport in your sock. And when they robbed, they took everything. And it would have been a nightmare for me to try to get back home to America if I didn't have my passport. So even though they left me with nothing, they left me with what I needed to get home. And that may sound silly to someone on the outside looking in, but between the calmness of having a machine gun in your face, the man I love the most in this world, having a machine gun being pointed at him and not being afraid, that's when it was really like, you know what, I'm real. When it comes to my belief, it's just not talk. I've always raised going to church, and it wasn't like I was forced to go. You start to believe and feel, and you see his work every day. I'm one of those people that just believe every and anything comes through him. When I was in college, and I was surrounded by Coach Hatfield, very strong Christian. A lot of guys at Rice were strong Christians. Then when you get older and you start to realize, this was the right path, the right way to go, you pick it back up. So that's just what I try to show my kids and try to instill in them.
He has time, now steps up, he's under pressure.